Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. and today we have got Tragedy Tales video, and this is 10 clips captured before horror number 1. I figured I should do the rest of these in order, and then as the thing is going, I'll correct the playlist that I've made so you are watching it in order. Mature audiences only, Tragedy Tales. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to enjoy more reaction video like this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment, stick down below. If you'd like to help the channel out with a donation, you can leave a super thanks or link to our PayPal's in the description. Let's go.
Cameras that can record video are literally everywhere. Almost anyone can whip their phone out and record a quick video. They're on our doors, in our cars, and are littered on most buildings. With the fact that the world is now completely riddled with cameras, it goes without saying that they capture moments right before things go terribly wrong. As always, I'm Ryan from Tragedy Tales, and without further ado, here are 10 pieces of footage captured before horror. On Sunday, July the 24th, 2021, the day began just like any other for the residents and tourists of a place called Himachal Pradesh, located in India's northern state in the Himalayas. Now, Himachal Pradesh, also known as HP, is a largely mountainous district, well known for its trekking, climbing and skiing areas. It has beautiful scenic mountain towns and views that attract tourists from far and wide. In the previous days leading up to that Sunday, the rainfall was described as relentless. As it was India's monsoon season, it went on and on, causing generators to fail and flash floods to sweep across villages. Not only does the rain cause havoc with generators, it also causes numerous landslides almost every year. Around 1:25 PM, dirt and rock began to loosen and crumble down the mountain face, just above the Sangla Chitkul road in HP. Before anyone knew it, it was raining boulders the size of cars. This footage was captured, and you can see huge boulders raining from above, crushing anything they come into contact with. Just watching this gives me goosebumps. Just the feeling of seeing these things coming towards you must have been just terrifying. The boulders continued to rain from above, ricocheting and bouncing as they tumbled down. One boulder slams into a bridge, taking it out like it was nothing. Now, just below the landslide was actually a tourist bus carrying 11 people, including the driver. And as they drove along without a care in the world, they heard the unmistakable deafening roar above them. They could do nothing. A huge boulder slammed into the bus, killing 8 instantly, while another sadly succumbed to the injuries on the way to the hospital. One of the tourists on the bus was a woman named Dr. Deepa Sharma. As Miss Deepa enjoyed her backpacking trip across India, on July the 24th, she shared this eerie photo on Twitter with the caption of "Life is nothing without Mother Nature." She would die just hours after posting this. The Prime Minister announced,
It was only 30 minutes, that's insane. 30 minutes later, Mother Nature would say, "Oh yeah, fuck you." Oh my god, that's insane.
A compensation of £2,000 to each of the victims' next of kin, and a £500 financial aid was given to the injured. This famous footage begins in the centre of Taiwan's capital, Taipei. At around 10:52 AM on February the 4th, 2015, TransAsia Airways Flight 235 departed from Kinmen Airport in Taipei to a neighbouring island. The plane was an ATR-72 turboprop plane carrying 53 passengers and 5 crew members on board. The pilots were pretty experienced, both ranked as captains, with one with a total of 4,914 flight hours, and the other pilot had 6,922 flight hours. Now, takeoff went well, and the passengers soon settled in for their short flight. But shortly after launch, and I mean literally within 2 minutes, a fault in the second engine caused it to have issues, causing it to lose power completely. The pilots worked to fix the issue, but sadly they misdiagnosed the problem and shut down the one working remaining engine. The aircraft reached...
I'm sorry, that is... How do you fuck that up? Like, you don't even know what engine's working, so you just turn off both? You're like, well, I gotta turn on the engine. Oh shit, that's the wrong one. Oopsie.
An altitude of 1,630 feet before it began its descent. Many witnessed as the plane came flying across Taipei, and in this video it can be seen a short distance away. But in this one, you can see as the plane banks sharply and clips a taxi roof before crashing into the nearby river. This was the last recording from the flight deck. Rescue operations immediately began and got to work pulling people from the flooded wreckage.
To think it's just that like they took off in 2 minutes, they were fucked. Because some mistakes were made that I am shocked by. I swear, aren't they supposed to check to make sure engine's working and everything's working before you start the damn thing?
Emergency teams cut open the plane while it was in the water, but could not reach the passengers trapped in the front section as it had completely submerged. Of the 53 passengers and 5 crew that were on board, only 15 survived, including a 2-year-old boy and 1 flight attendant. This incident made many question how a perfectly fine plane with 2 experienced pilots could come crashing out of the sky for no apparent reason.
Insane.
This shocking footage was captured by a 28-year-old man named Armin Schmeider. Now, Armin was a wingsuit pilot from Italy, and he was a very experienced skydiver. He had a young child and a following online that would watch him conduct acts that most of us would flat out refuse. Armin's latest obsession was wind gliding. In August of 2016, he had been gliding for 1 year and felt invincible, but he wanted to push it that little bit further. So Armin trekked to the top of a mountain near Kandersteg in Switzerland, and here he began live streaming himself. On the live stream, he can be seen preparing his suit. He was smiling and clearly very happy to be doing this. He seemed very much in his element. And when he was all suited up, he told his viewers that today you fly with me. After checking that he'd fully equipped himself, he slid the phone into his backpack and leapt from the mountaintop. As his phone was in his bag, you can hear wind and noises, and it sounds like it's all going well, until it's all abruptly ended by a shout and the sound of impact. The live stream turned silent, and the only thing that could be heard was the eerie sound of cowbells ringing in the distance. Viewers watched and reacted in absolute horror. Some sent messages in chat, requesting that he write or say something, but there was no response. The stream went on before his phone battery finally died. The next day, the police discovered his body near Kandersteg at a popular base jumping location. The cause of his death was blunt force trauma to the head. However, they could not be sure why exactly the accident occurred.
Because I don't know if it's a base jump and it's meant for jumping off of, then it wouldn't be my thought. My thought was maybe he couldn't get the distance you would need to be able to pick up momentum, and he just smacked into the ground. But I don't know. I don't know what could cause that.
On Friday, September the 8th, 2017, a 19-year-old woman named Kanika Jenkins attended a party at the O'Hara Hotel in Rosemont.
Oh, this one pisses me off, this case. I know this case, I know this name, but I think this what pisses me off is hella. There's dumb shit going on here. There's some janky shit. This woman this woman was murdered. I believe it. I just don't know who did it, but someone murdered her. That I know for sure.
Illinois. The party began the previous day at 11:30 p.m, Friday, September the 8th, in room 926. And as the party unfolded, Kanika drank cognac but took no drugs. Witnesses reported her as being very unstable, and many said that she wasn't acting her usual self, noting that she would dance a little, but then later on appeared to be sad and sat down. Early in the morning, Kanika was with her friends walking around the hotel, and this is when they said goodbye to her. This was the last time she was seen. Later in the morning, her friends could not find her anywhere. Kanika's friends contacted her mother, who arrived at the hotel around 5:30 a.m. to assist in the search. Now, her mother was completely consumed by worry. She went on to knock on as many doors as possible, from the top to the bottom, until a hotel employee called 911 to complain. All through the night, Kanika could not be found.
They could be like, hey, woman, hey, God, police, we need you to come. Well, this woman's looking for a daughter. Her daughter's missing, but we couldn't give a rat's zero fuck. She's knocking on our doors, and we need to not knock on the doors. No, we don't care about finding this child. No, we don't give a fuck. We just want her to stop knocking on the doors. I don't care. Her child could literally be in one of those places dead. We don't care. She better not knock on another damn door.
Seemed to have disappeared without a trace. The next day, Kanika's mother requested the CCTV footage from the night before, but the hotel management refused until someone reported her missing to the police. So, her mother reported her missing, and finally, they checked the CCTV cameras.
That's so annoying to me. Like, I get it, but like she's asking not a tough task to be like, hey, my daughter was in here. She's gone missing. No one can find her. Can you show us the CCTV so we can see what happened? And they're like, no. Nope, we don't want to help you find your daughter. Nope. No, if we go to police and we have to, we will, but we're not helping you. Nope.
The first check of the camera footage focused on entrances and exits, but turned up nothing. She did not leave out of any exit that night. After scouring through hours of CCTV, Kanika was eventually spotted staggering, apparently intoxicated, through the hotel's hallways.
Really, bro. She's so drunk.
Police continued combing through the CCTV, trying to figure out where she might have gone to. And this is when they came across the final evidence. Kanika was spotted eventually arriving at the kitchen. Here she can be seen sort of swaying and entering in the kitchen, and then turns left towards the freezers. They rushed to the kitchen, went straight to the freezer and opened the door, and lo and behold, there she was. Tragically, she had died from hypothermia the previous night. She was pronounced dead at 12:48 a.m. on Sunday. The freezer was on and working, and described as a walk-in freezer within a walk-in cooler, so she would have had to go through 2 doors to get to where she was. Lights were apparently turned off in both chambers when she entered them, so she would have been in pitch black. But the weird part was, there was a button release on the inside, and when they checked, the freezers were not locked, so it's unsure why she entered and why she couldn't or didn't leave. There are
Too drunk to realize. She probably thought she was just locked in.
lot of theories as to how she may have ended up in there, but this is something that we may never know. The Rosemont Police Department issued a statement the same day saying that no foul play was suspected, and Kanika's family continued to search for answers as to how she died. As India celebrated the Gujarati New Year at around 6:30 p.m. on October the 30th, 2022, hundreds of people travelled across the Morbi Bridge to visit a dancing festival. The Morbi Bridge was a pedestrian suspension bridge that spanned
Yeah, that bridge probably snapped. I'll bet that bridge snapped, because that does not look like a stable amount of people on a bridge.
across the Machachu River, located in Morbi, in India. The bridge, when it was constructed, was described as an engineering marvel. It was built during the British rule of India in 1900. It measured around 230 metres, or 755 feet long, but while it was long, it was quite thin, coming in at just 1.25 metres, or around 4 feet wide. Ever since it was built, it has been a popular tourist attraction, as it's the only thing connecting the 2 neighbouring districts. The bridge had been closed for repairs for 2 years, and had only just reopened after renovations on October the 28th. On that fateful day, just 5 days after reopening, the people of Morbi crowded onto the bridge like sardines. Everyone was eager to get to the celebrations, but it was absolute chaos. There was nowhere to move but forward. Just looking at it, it was clear to many that the bridge was massively overloaded. While the bridge had a capacity of 125 people, over 400 were trying to get across. As they carefully tiptoed across the bridge, some people got the foolish idea to test its strength, something that was also witnessed just days prior. Captured on CCTV, you can see multiple people swaying and swinging on the bridge, literally trying to get it to break. And it was all fun and games until suddenly the bridge did break.
I don't want to say some, because I know there's a bunch of people who didn't, but I think the people who, if it was just people on it by themselves, swinging and swaying the thing, trying to get it to break, I would say they deserve that. They deserve it to break on them, specifically. But there's so many people who probably were just trying to get to a festival, didn't want it to break, and didn't want anyone to fucking test it.
The bridge snapped in the middle, and within seconds, the entire thing collapsed, throwing 400 people into dark, cold waters below. Many tried their best to hold onto nets and ropes, but there was no space to move. If you weren't crushed in the immediate fall, it was now a battle for air. It was every man for themselves. Locals at the riverbank tried to help in any way they could. They were seen forming human chains to rescue people, which proved very effective. But formal rescue operations soon began and continued recovering people from the river up to the evening of October the 31st. While more than 180 people were rescued as they clung onto the remainder of the bridge, sadly they kept pulling more and more bodies out of the water. In total, 135 people died. Many victims were women, elderly, and children, with the youngest fatality being an 18-month-old baby.
Oh.
The chief officer who had given the contract for repairs said, and I quote, "The private company in charge of the renovations threw it open to visitors without notifying him. Therefore, we could not get a safety audit of the bridge conducted. Too many people..."
You're not, well, that's fucked. You're supposed to, they should be in jail for that. You should not at all be able to take those things out. Holy shit, bro. That should not be allowed. What are you doing?
Appeared to be in the middle, and this wasn't helped with the fact people were trying to sway it. Many blamed the officials, condemning them for allowing the bridge to become overcrowded and even allowing people onto it in the first place. The government announced a compensation payment of around $5,000 to the next of kin of each person who died and $630 to the injured. After the incident,
Wait, so like the dead got 5,000 and they were like, yeah, you're alive, so you can only get like 600.
Police arrested 9 people in relation to the management firm that let people onto the bridge prematurely. This included ticket collectors, security guards that were working on the bridge, and even low-level employees of the company. This horrifying footage originates from Indonesia, more specifically the Kanjuruhan Stadium in Malang, located in East Java. On Saturday, October the 1st, 2022, supporters of the Arema Football Club and their number one rival, Persebaya Surabaya, met at the stadium for a historical game. Kanjuruhan Stadium was primarily used for football matches and had a capacity of around 38,000 people. However, that Saturday, as the game was massive and everyone wanted to see it, they oversold the tickets and 42,000 tickets were sold. Arema Football Club was defeated.
How do you, how do you oversell tickets? You know how many tickets you have. You should know how many tickets you have and how many you have left. You can buy them online. Doubt you could at this point. So you know how many tickets you have there. How the fuck do you screw this up? How do you oversell? I never understand it.
3-2. Their first defeat in 23 years.
Ooh.
Those who supported the losing team forced themselves onto the barriers and onto the pitch. The police were attacked, and some of the players even were attacked too.
This is the problem with sports teams, and this happens everywhere. If this is your thing with a sports team where if someone loses, you must attack people and cause a riot because your team lost, get some help. Get some help. It's just a game. I have had nothing. There has been no sport. I'm a wrestling fan. There's never been a wrestling match. There was no one I could watch lose. that would make me want to start causing that shit. Like, that's insane.
5 police cars were smashed up and set on fire. People were shouting and screaming, and police were hitting back with batons. When they realised this was absolutely futile, the police retaliated by firing tear gas, a crowd control measure banned officially by FIFA. Why is it banned, you ask? Well, tear gas temporarily makes people unable to function by causing irritation to the eyes, mouth, throat, lungs, and skin. And as you can imagine, in a tight football stadium, it had a terrible domino effect. The gas caused many to panic, and it caused thousands of supporters to run in the same direction, towards gates 12 and 10. This caused a massive bottleneck. As people fled in horror, they fought to get to the gates.
If the police officers aren't in shit for throwing the tear gas, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Which then caused a stampede. Hundreds were stuck under feet or trapped against walls. There was nowhere to go. Literally, there were people left, right, and centre. It are just horrible. I won't show any of the footage of the stampede, but when the sun set on that day, the death toll was announced. Sadly, this turned out to be one of the world's deadliest football tragedies. 125 people that had innocently gone out had lost their lives. This included 32 children. The FIFA president, Gianni, called the deaths a dark day for football and a tragedy beyond comprehension. The league was immediately suspended and a nation was left in shock. While Indonesia had seen violence at games before, they've never seen anything quite like this.
Also, the reason I also say sports, like, people react to it, you think your team is happy that you react that way? I doubt most teams are like, yeah, good job, guys, for causing a riot. Causing 100 people to die.
On October the 16th, 2011, a British motor racing driver named Dan Wheldon participated in the 2011 IZOD IndyCar World Championship held at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Dan was a legendary driver. Having almost 3 victories under his belt, he felt confident he was going to become
Not almost, he had 3 wins is what that said. Just correct himself to make sure you know.
the champion of this race. While the race was in full swing, on lap 11 out of the planned 200, Dan was in 24th place and was about to make the second turn. As he turned the corner, the car in front of him was forced to decelerate. Its rear tyre then touched another's at 165 miles an hour, and just a tiny little touch caused it to lose control right in front of his eyes.
Holy shit.
At this speed, you're travelling the length of a football pitch every 3 seconds. There's no way to stop the car if you wanted to. The only choice is to try and avoid it. Dan slammed on the brake, but it was too late. His car was launched semi-airborne for approximately 325 feet. It then rotated towards the right-hand side catch fence, where it finally settled. Emergency services rushed to his aid, but he had severe head injuries.
Oh, yeah.
He was airlifted to the hospital, but despite the doctor's best efforts, he could not be saved. After input from the drivers and team owners, officials declared that they would abandon the race and perform a 5-lap salute in Dan's honour. Amazing Grace was played on the bagpipes, and his number 77 was displayed alone atop the scoring pylon. This clip has a little background, but it's filmed on Bolivia's Death Road, famously featured on Top Gear's Bolivia special in 2009.
Oh my... Stop there!
As far as I can tell, the clip was filmed in December of 2011, and it shows a double-decker bus as it travelled on Bolivia's Death Road. They were driving along when all of a sudden they came across a part of the road that seemed to have been damaged in a landslide. It didn't look like the bus could possibly make it past, but there was nowhere to turn around and no way to reverse back on themselves. The driver commanded his 50 passengers to get off the bus and wait on the road while he attempted to maneuver it solo.
I will give the driver credit for that. The driver was like, okay, everyone get off. That way, if I go down, I guess it's just me doing it.
And this is when the nail-biting video begins. The bus drives on, and it looks like he's going to make it. As all the passengers stood by watching, within a moment, it all goes wrong. Unbeknownst to the driver, the back wheel failed to get a grip on the mud. Its entire back end teetered dangerously close to the precipice, and as the driver slammed on the accelerator, the bus's back end slid over the edge. Within a blink of an eye, the entire bus slipped straight out of view over the rocky cliff. It's only when they look over the edge that they then realise how far he's fallen. The bus tumbled 164 feet below, killing the driver on impact.
Oh yeah.
This left the passengers stood by, completely confused as to what they were going to do, and in complete shock at what they had just witnessed. Imagine driving down the road on a completely normal day with your family, and then all of a sudden, it ends. This is precisely what happened to a man named Vadim on Tuesday, June the 12th, 2012. Around 11 AM, Vadim, along with his wife and baby, were travelling in their Audi A4 on a highway in Russia. As they were driving on the 11th kilometre on the highway, a group of large Kamaz trucks could be seen in the distance, coming towards them. They were carrying 16 tons of very poorly packed bricks. As they drove past, a brick from the van became dislodged at the wrong place and at the wrong time. This dashcam footage captures the brick falling off the van and straight towards the car. With zero time to react, the brick crashed straight through the windscreen, hitting a 29-year-old woman named Olga in the head at 60 miles an hour. Now Vadim didn't realise.
Oh, that's on site right there. That has to be.
At first, but when he turned to look, he saw his wife's head had been split vertically by the brick. The truck driver had no idea that any of this had happened and actually continued driving on. Olga was taken to the emergency room at the Azov hospital, but sadly, after 2 hours of trying to revive her, she was pronounced dead. The Kamaz driver who was driving the vehicle was actually arrested for her death in accordance with Article 264, which is essentially violation through traffic rules, which through negligence caused the death of a person. This story begins in Huntsville, Alabama. On October the 2nd, 2021, a 29-year-old woman named Christina Nance was finally reported missing after she randomly stopped turning up to work and replying to messages. Now, Christina was described as a very fun-loving person. She loved to sing and was positive and sweet. When her family reported her missing, they told the police that they'd not seen her since September the 25th, 1 week previously. While Christina was known to the police through the crisis intervention team, they were perplexed as to why she would just up and walk away, leaving everything behind. Christina had some mental health problems, but nothing that would just make her disappear without a message or a note or anything. Police searched far and wide. They searched her property, they searched her car, and she was nowhere to be seen. Days passed, and she still had not responded to any messages whatsoever, so her family began to worry. Fast forward to Thursday, October the 7th, around 9:15 AM, the Huntsville Police Department began their workday like any other. As they walked in, one of the officers noticed a pair of shoes sitting beside an unused police van. As the officer approached the van, he noticed that one of the windows was down. Putting two and two together, he thought someone must be sleeping in the van, so the officer unlocked the doors. This is when the horrific discovery was made. As he opened the door, he discovered that Christine had been locked inside the van.
What? Wait, so did an officer put her in the van and then just leave her to die? What?
She was clearly gone. She had been dead for days. The car's humid environment had massively sped up the decomposition process. She had maggots literally wriggling out of her head.
You want to tell me nobody can smell her nowhere? What, I mean, nowhere? my cousin riding away with man, it's all in her face.
Her family couldn't help but wonder why nobody noticed the smell.
I'd be shocked.
The police were also confused as to how she'd managed to get in there. With the shoes and the window, their initial thoughts were immediately murder, so they immediately checked the surrounding CCTV cameras. As these were unmonitored, anything could have happened. The police spent hours sifting through the CCTV footage before they came across something. Captured on CCTV, they discovered the bizarre footage of what looked like Christina walking around the Huntsville Police car park on September the 25th. On that day, it showed her approaching unmanned cars and sitting on bonnets. She does this for 10 minutes before she approaches the van. She checked the van, checked that it was unlocked, opened the doors, and for an unknown reason, climbed in the back. Now, what she did not know is that this van was an old inmate transport van. While the doors would open, they would lock on themselves once they were closed, meaning someone else has to let you out. It was police policy to ensure these vans were locked. I can only imagine the feeling of realizing that you're stuck. Footage shows that once she entered, she did not leave. The car's windows could be seen being pushed and forced down from the inside, and movement could be seen in the vehicle up to September the 28th. The bizarre part was the fact that the window was open plenty enough to scream for help or get someone's attention. Sadly, for one reason or another, she couldn't or didn't shout for help.
Probably because she, in her own mind, didn't want to get in trouble. She just wanted to sneak up out of there, but you couldn't because you were stuck. So you just scream. Just scream for help.
And nobody found her in there until 12 days later. By the time they found her, an autopsy showed that she'd been dead for 8 to 10 days. However, her cause of death was inconclusive. Her family were absolutely furious and demanded more answers. They feel, despite the video footage, they couldn't help but wonder why she didn't shout for help, why she got in the van in the first place, and why she was left undiscovered for so long. They accused the police of manslaughter for leaving the death trap of a van unlocked, and the police openly took responsibility for it. Due to this, Christina's family are currently working on suing the ever-living daylights out of them.
So the police take responsibility, say, okay, we left it unlocked, that is on us. But there's no conspiracy here. She got in the van on her own choice, then got stuck. And her not screaming for help is completely on her. I don't know how that lawsuit will go, to be honest. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Wait, we go back to the... There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this reaction video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all for the next one.